And now we're moving on to look at how we would construct a reference list when we've made inline citations that involve journal articles. So there are a number of key elements, and again, not overly dissimilar from what we've seen in previous APA formatting. So the first element is the author's name. And as we can see, same conventions used, last name spelt fully with a comma following it, and then the first initial. Then in parenthesis, we're going to provide the date, and that is normally just given as the year value. And then the article title. Now this is always presented in sentence case, and often if you're harvesting using cut and paste or tools like Mendeley, it means you will have to go back and correct them because often journals will present these with every word capitalized. However, for reasons beyond my control, this is not an acceptable thing with APA formatting. The next element we look at is the title of the journal. It's provided in capitalized form, so the main words are capitalized. And following that, we give the volume and the issue number, and we follow that with the page numbers when they're available. So let's have a look at how this would work. In this case, I've referenced an article regarding the use of the Treaty of Waitangi as part of a framework for healthcare delivery. So you can see that the author's name is Kingi, that he published in 2007, and that the article's name, the Treaty of Waitangi, a framework for Maori health, has come from the New Zealand Journal of Occupational Therapy. Now, I know I said that the article name should be in sentence case, and in this case, there's obviously a few more capital letters than what we would normally expect. However, in terms like the Treaty of Waitangi is a proper noun, and therefore capitalisation is appropriate. You'll notice that the journal name, the New Zealand Journal of Occupational Therapy, is italicised. The volume it came for was number 54 and the first issue in that series. And if I was to look it up in that particular journal, I'd find it spread across pages 4 to 10. And lastly, I've added this link, which in this case is a URL to a site from which I got the article from. Now let's look at a variation to this, a common one, and that is where there is more than one author. In this particular article, we can see that there are half a dozen authors. So I've put them in the same order that I found them in the article. I've separated their surname from their first initial with a comma, always followed the abbreviation or the initial with a full stop, and separated each of the authors with another comma until I get to the last one where I add the and symbol. We move on from the names to the date, and then the name of the article. And again, you can see that's presented in sentence case other than where proper nouns occur. This one's presented in the New Zealand Medical Journal. Again, I've had to italicise this. And generally speaking, you should not use abbreviations. Quite often you'll see the New Zealand Medical Journal abbreviated to the NZMJ, but in APA referencing for your reference list, you spell it out in full. So in this case, the volume number was 117, the issue was 1197, and I've provided a URL link to the New Zealand Medical Association site where I found this journal article. You'll note that there's no page numbers in this one, and that's because as an online document, the page numbers weren't advertised. I hope this has been helpful, and if you're following these presentations in order, the next one to have a look at is referencing a website. Ka kite.